Okay, now looks like we are live. So I want to thank everybody for joining this Finance Committee meeting on December 1st, 2021. Time is 5:32 p.m. So I'm going to do a roll call to establish a quorum of the committee. Trustee House is present. Trustee Brown.
Present.
And Trustee Steve.
Present.
There's 3 members of the committee present. We have a quorum. The next thing on the agenda is that we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm gonna take a brief moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, for the meeting of the minds. We ask that you stay with us through this meeting to do the work, the will of the people and your will so that the village of Dolton may prosper. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Okay, so we're gonna move directly into our old business. We have a short agenda, which is our normal routine bills. I always preface our normal reports. Preface the reports with the reason that we go over the same reports every month. It may be redundant, but I think it's critical that I think these are critical issues, and our ongoing tracking of that helps us to be better and make sure that we're fiscally responsible. With that being said, we're going to go into the monthly financial reports. A brief pause, because I think I acknowledge at the end, but I do want to acknowledge at the moment, we have Trustee Belcher, Trustee Holmes as well joining us. So we thank you both for your participation and awareness and attendance. Also have to acknowledge our finance department, our finance consultant, Chris. Thank you for always being there and being responsive and attending on off hours. You don't have to, as well as Ontario, for your coordination of this, of these efforts. So we do appreciate your contributions. Having said that, we will now go into the monthly financial reports, looking to the status of our general fund. So if we go on the financial reports on page 15, if you've printed it out, on page 18, if you're looking at it on a laptop or another digital item, we have the month to date. So we can tell that we received a nice distribution of property taxes. Our month to date, we had a surplus of $1,670,100 $1,670,106. Fiscal year to date, we have a surplus $1,715,240. So I can tell that I would assume that's largely due to receiving our installment of property taxes, but I will ask Chris if he has any kind of highlights or notes for this section that he would like to cover, because I would say we're comfortable that we're in the surplus, but also being mindful that we do live off these funds for some months to come until our next installment, and we do get other revenue, but that's a big substantial portion of it. But Chris, you have any additional add-ons for that?
So you are right. One of the reasons why we have such a nice month this month is because we got over 1.5 million in property taxes just allocated to fund general operations. We received another 340,000 for the City of Chicago levy line items.
Okay, thank you for that. Trustees, any questions or comments that we may have on the general fund? I have 1 or 2 notes that I'll make after your comments.
I have none.
Any other trustee have a question, comment?
No, I have none.
Oh, yeah, Chris?
I do want to state 2 things. There was allocations done for this month. They covered the last 6 months related to your general liability insurance. We allocated a large portion of that, similar to what we normally do around this time, to the water and sewer fund. So we moved those portions and recorded those expenses. They've already been recorded in the general fund, but normally every 6 months we do the allocation of moving it to water and sewer to be reasonable as to a portion of that expense is related to water and sewer operations. So that is reflected on these financials for the whole 6 months.
So, and Chris, when we go look at, because around this time of year, I know we are either preparing or we're preparing to make our bond payment to remain on schedule. And I know that there's a shortage in the bond fund that we will be covering from the general fund. I think that was prepared for or projected in our annual budget. We did budget that there would be a transfer from the general fund to the bond fund. I think we budgeted about 550,000, but I believe that the last email I saw looks like it was slightly higher than that. Not much higher, but slightly higher. But can you, I want to kind of throw that out there so that we know when we look into our next financials, while we're showing a surplus of 1.7 million fiscal year to date, there will be some significant expenses that'll be coming out with just for that kind of a transfer and maybe some other things. So, Chris, do you have any comment on that?
Yes, the next regular schedule, so the January board meeting or finance committee, I will be sending you all a memo breaking down how much was transferred for each fund, and then requesting authorization from the board to do the permanent transfer, similar to what we've done every year.
Board members, any question about that?
I have none.
I have none.
Okay. Hearing no questions, anything additional that, welcome trustee Norwood for joining us.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You just got your hair done, nice, pretty smile. So, Chris, any additional comments on the general fund before we move to the water fund?
Well, let me think if there's anything. So an overall, general fund revenues were about 700,000 above last year. So last year we had 5 million, we're this year at 5.7.
Oh, I do have two more questions. I didn't.
I do have a question.
Yeah, I had two off my list too as well.
Chris,
Trustee, do you have a
Chris.
question?
Yeah, go ahead.
How are we looking on the sewer fund?
Sewer fund, 1 second. We have a operational surplus for the current fiscal year to date of 241,478.08.
Okay.
Okay, so one area that I note that we seem that we've done better in from a revenue standpoint is the sales tax revenue. So it looks like that is going really well, and that was area that was budgeted higher. So it's good to see that it's going in that direction, because I think I had some concerns on it. So that's a positive. I got you, Trustee Belcher, coming one moment to you. An area of question or I want to kind of see if there's anything being put in place on there. I see the overtime numbers are approaching 100%. Approaching our ad, and I believe it was the sewer fund, not the sewer, public works or police. I don't have the whole report in front of me.
Police.
I don't have my notes. Police. So
Yes.
if you can kind of talk us through what could be contributing factors, how do we deal with that? Is there, because if we're at 100% fiscal year to date and we still have 5 more months to go, and actually, I guess are we looking at September, October's report? So we got 6 more months. Kind of talk to me with.
So yes, you guys, you're over at your whole entire, for public safety purposes, you did go over on your budget for overtime for police. But since you haven't hired all of the staffing that you were going to hire to be budgeted for, you're going to have that difference. So to simplify it, let's say there was 60 per officer. You didn't hire that, so that you have that 60 in the budget. It may not be in the line item of overtime, but you have it in regular salaries. So it will cover over some of that overtime overage. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Have there been any, I got you, Trustee, but I want to hang on. Please jump on in. I want to stay on this for one more second, if you don't mind. Okay. Have there been any conversations that you're aware of that in terms of getting, well, I guess there's more on getting. I'm going to yield to Trustee Belcher at this moment.
Thank you, Trustee House. I know my original question was something else, but when you just started talking about the payroll for the police department, so based on the fact that we initially allocated for 10 officers, I believe as of September, we had possibly hired 7, correct?
The exact number, Trustee, I don't know off the top, so I can come back to you guys with that exact number, but I don't have that exact number off.
Okay. So based on the fact that I believe there was 7 that was hired, which will leave 3 if we were using salaries to say we had that money to possibly play around. In one of the meetings, Chief Collins stated we had some on IOD, and yeah, IOD. So we still do that money that they're paying for since
Trustee,
they're
you're
out.
coming in
Does that
broken.
come out of the salary or the, huh?
You're coming in broken. I got like bits and pieces of what you just said.
So the 7 officers that was hired. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Chris, can you hear me? Oh,
Yep.
the 7 officers that was hired will leave us with 3 officer salary left. But then we have, I believe, 3 or 4 that's out on IOD. But is that salary for them still being paid? Does that come out of still the payroll salary, or does it come out of like a benefit salary?
No, it comes out of the payroll salary, but there is an offsetting revenue line that covers a portion of that salary. So there is revenue under line item workers' comp reimbursement that covers those officers and those individuals that are on workers' comp.
Okay, so my question in reference to that, and maybe Trustee Holmes can answer it, because obviously we still need the officers on the street. So if we do within the next 4 or 5 months, then all this money that's been spent is gonna surplus our budget that we've already had, if we're at 100% now.
So I was going to mention this towards the end, but as a general announcement to the entire board, I got notification from the police department that the village has been awarded its full, minus about 10,000 of its full asking for the COPS grant. So those monies for all 5 officers, we were awarded the full portion that we requested minus 10,000 for equipment. So that is going to cover some of the costs, because originally we only estimated, I believe, I think, what was that?
Was it like 200,000? Is that the amount that was in the grant?
Yeah, but that was assuming that the village would have to fund a portion of it. The DOJ did award the village the full portion. The only portion that we have to fund is about 10 grand related to equipment. So like the uniforms and those types of things. But salary wise, they did authorize the village for the full amount that we requested.
That's wonderful. So that will help us then, because if we still need to hire these other officers, that would help to balance it out, correct?
Yeah, because now you'll have more money than what we estimated from a revenue standpoint for these officers.
Okay, thank you.
That is definitely good news. Thank you for sharing. Don't be trying to save that to the end.
Well, I wanted to end the meeting on a happy note.
Absolutely.
Now, if I can ask, what do you know the amount that was awarded, or?
Let me see real quick if I can pull that number.
Okay, if it's not close by, we'll continue, and I'm sure you'll update it at our next meeting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find it in my email. So next meeting,
Okay.
probably.
Trustee Hess, can
Oh, absolutely.
while we're on the subject, I guess I'm just wondering, what could we use the money for?
The COPS grant award is only to cover newly hired officers. So the reporting requirements related to it in general terms are, let's say officer A, B, and C, you guys hire them and you guys get reimbursed. You submit saying, okay, officer A, B, and C, they work for the village from this time to this time. You guys have paid them X dollars. You submit that to the Department of Justice. They'll say, okay, yep, here you go. And then they'll send the village a check for their salaries for what we paid them in both salary and benefits.
Got you. So if we already have a room in the budget for 3 more officers, and we still have the grant, do you think that means that we'll be able to, how would that work? Will we still be able to hire those 3 officers and then use some of the grant towards hiring more officers? Or what's?
So when we originally budgeted for the grant, one second, I'm pulling up. We budgeted for 3 officers to be funded through that grant from a budgetary standpoint. From a grant request standpoint, we requested 5 officers for 100%. We budgeted 75% for 3 officers. So now we have 100% for 5 officers to be funded through the grant. So their salary and benefits. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Question. Can I recognize?
Oh, yeah, well, trustee Norwood, did that complete yours? And then we'll go to trustee Steve.
Yeah, because maybe Trustee Steve maybe his question is kind of relevant to what I'm trying to ask. So yeah, he can go ahead.
Okay, trustee Steve?
Am I hearing this correct, Chris, that you budgeted for the grant? Yeah, I knew y'all were gonna get this grant. You knew we were gonna get this grant?
Yes, we budgeted that the village would receive 219,000
For the,
under the COPS grant.
so you already went, so you telling me when we did the budget this year for 10 officers, all 10 of them officers weren't out our current financial state, or was that based off the grant that we got now?
No, we budgeted okay. From an expense standpoint, we budgeted all 10 officers. From a revenue standpoint, we budgeted 3 officers to be funded 75% of their salary through the grant.
And so y'all just changed that once you found out we was getting the grant?
Yeah, not that we actually got notification from DOJ that the village was awarded the grant and they were awarded 100%. That is actually meaning that we're going to actually end up getting more money than what we requested.
Okay. That's it. My question. That's good. I'm good.
Any additional questions?
Yeah, Trustee has kind of be recognized.
Absolutely.
Because I thought Trustee Steve was probably gonna kind of ask something similar to my question. So if we're at 100%, besides the money that we're going to use for the grant, what else, Chris, can we do? Because even with 5 months out, besides the grant money and with us hiring new officers, is there something that we can do to not be so high or to kind of manage it a little bit? Do you understand my question? Is it something? I know 100% sounds
I'm gonna chime in, and Chris, tell me if I'm off base here. In terms of overtime, the overtime relates directly to management internally. So when we come to finance, the time has been done. It's been approved by the staff, and we're getting the reports so we can see how it impacted us financially. But from overtime, of course, that comes down to how people are being scheduled and how they're being used on the street, and then of the availability of bodies. Police overtime is unavoidable, so we're always going to budget for it. However, we have to make sure that we're using it within reason. So if we're going over right now, and I guess that's something that we want to continue to talk about on a monthly basis. Since we're going over, we want to get down to the cause, but I think we would want to bring the police chief in as well to kind of talk about, what are the needs for the overtime, and if there's processes that we can use to minimize it.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee. That's kind of what I was wondering. Okay, thanks.
Any additional questions?
I have one thing. I know we spoke about it before in our police committee meeting. And from my understanding, out of the 7 that were hired, I think 3 were let go, were termed, from my understanding. 3 were termed. So I think a lot of this overtime is actually due to not being properly staffed. We're still not staffed. We're still not where we're supposed to be. Out of the 10, we hired 7. From my understanding, 3 were let go. So now we're actually, instead of 3 down, we're 6 down. So that could be, due to a lot of this overtime, because we're still not fully staffed as to where we should be.
So go ahead, Chris. I can't speak on staffing because that's above my area. That's a police decision, not me. But I do believe that 3 of the officers who were on payroll at the start of the year are no longer on there. I do believe it's 3. That I can tell you guys just based on payroll, but staffing wise, that's more of a police. That's more police, not finance.
But I would say that could be a reason why we have the overtime as well.
Yes, that's an accurate statement. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, may I be recognized?
Oh, yes, sir. Trustee Holmes.
Yeah, even if we were full staff, we still have to look at the fact that, we still have detectives there that sometimes have to work overtime just in case, they're going beyond their hours because of violent crime or violent homicide that they're invested. So we still have to look at it that way. So if we were fully staffed.
One quick question.
Hold on one moment. I want to stick on Trustee Holmes. I don't think he completed his statement.
Yeah, I was saying, even if we were fully staffed, we have to look at it that way because some of these detectives do work overtime, especially when it's a violent crime.
Mhm.
I'm
Thank
completed.
Thank you for that comment, Trustee Holmes. And I guess with overtime, that's the one thing we are going to budget for it. We know it's going to happen. We just want to make sure we're staying within our budgeted parameter. And if not, we want to, if they feel they need more time, we want to make sure we're having that discussion during the budget period versus hitting 100%. And now we're trying to figure out what happened.
Absolutely.
Well, I think somebody had another question and went mute.
Sure.
Okay.
Trustee House, can I be recognized?
Yep, Trustee Belcher.
So, can you hear me?
It's kind of coming in and out a little bit.
This is iPad. Just to piggyback on what Chris and Trustee Brown said. So my question is, if we hire 7, 3 were let go or whatever, and you're saying that the grant entitles us to 5, is there a time limit that we have to obtain those 5 people? And is it based on the individuals that we submit for reimbursement of the salary, or is it based on how they were hired? Because it said new hires, correct? I believe that's what the grant was, for new hires.
Yes, the grant is for new hires. I do believe, and I have to read the whole grant agreement to give you all specifics, but I do believe there is stipulations within the grant agreement that says that, let's say you hire Officer A, and then for whatever reason, 2 months later, Officer A is no longer there. You can change that Officer A to Officer B to continue that grant, so to speak, if that makes sense to everyone.
Trustee Belcher, that answer your question?
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, it is, thank you.
Any additional questions?
I do have one more comment I want to add.
Yes, sir.
From a revenue standpoint, we did get a relatively large distribution for state income taxes this month, larger than we normally would get. So last year in October, we got 258,000 for state income tax. This year, we got 330,000. So it seems like some of the losses that we're experiencing prior to for COVID, we are going up a little bit.
Good news.
Absolutely.
So having heard that, I'm gonna close out the discussion on the general fund. I will go into the water fund, which is on page 19 of the packet if you printed it out, page 22 if you're looking at it digitally. We have a month-to-date deficit from the water department, $113,633.75. Fiscal year to date, a surplus, $154,726 on that. So I want to pause just to ask Chris if you have any comment, any notes, anything that you might say you're seeing, and then I'll kind of yield to the board for questions.
Revenue is about 250,000 above last year from a billing standpoint, with expenses only being up about 150.
Okay.
City of Chicago, we did experience a rate increase back in June, but from a billing standpoint, we're only about 40,000 higher than last year from a billing standpoint.
Okay. On the monthly deficit, well, any of the board members have a question?
No.
Okay. So as it
Not
relates
so-
to that
not so
monthly deficit, is that do you think that's an anomaly, a one-time thing, or is there cause for concern month over month? Because I would assume that the revenue is what we build minus the expenses, and so that's not even collected. So you think that's an anomaly, something happened incorrectly, or is it cause for concern?
So I don't think it's a huge cost for concern, only because due to the various districts that are billed, you have some districts that are larger billing, and then you have the smaller districts billed. So your expenses are pretty consistent 12-month basis, but from a revenue standpoint, due to the fact of your residentials, you have, I think District 3 is your largest district. That usually is a lot higher of a billing standpoint compared to your other 2 districts. So it should it balances off a little bit towards that fact that when you have your smaller districts, you may be a little lower. And then when you have your bigger districts, you're a lot higher from a revenue versus expenses standpoint.
Okay. Okay, any additional questions? Hearing none at this time, I'm just gonna ask Chris if you can, the last 2 points maybe kind of combine as just the status of our water bill payments to city of Chicago, to the city of Chicago, making sure we're still on time, and then the uncollected bills from the community. I know there was the amnesty program brought in. So if you kind of, and the status of our bond payment as well.
So City of Chicago, for your billing standpoint, for your regular bills, they were paid, so they're all good. For your bond payment status, you guys have made your bond payment, and this will be reflected in your guys' December financials, but since we're here, all your bonds were paid December 1st, so all bonds have been closed out and paid. You had to fund it, a portion of it, as we discussed earlier, with general fund monies. City of Chicago annual payment that has been fully made and been paid. The cash has already left the bank. So that will be reflected in those financials.
Quick question, Chris. Did I hear you say all bonds are done paid, or just that payment has been paid? Did I hear that correctly?
So I'm sorry, the December 1st payment has been made. You still have outstanding bonds.
Okay.
You guys did collect some real estate taxes in your Homewood disposal fund. So you were able to make prepayments before December 1st. So that decreased some of the interest you paid to Homewood disposal.
Any questions from the board on any of those points? Last thing, because I know we converted over to the new civic system software with the intention or desire that it would make it more seamless for the water bill processing as well. Is it too soon to gauge if that's helping, or what kind of benefits have you been seeing?
From a standpoint of a billing, I haven't dug into it enough to know, but just from the way the software is formatted, I think it's going to be a lot better from a billing standpoint. I do know that they are working on getting reports in the system, so that way it's better reports internally generated for billing just through Cassell itself.
Okay.
I note that from the financials, these have not been updated just because currently the way the software shows up is if I were to run the report that I normally provide you, it would all show as current outstanding billing, because the way it was incorporated is just as you converted October X date, it goes from that day forward from a date time scheduling, from a time segment distribution. So this current report from a standpoint of age trial balance for utility billing, it has not been updated to reflect current activity. I do believe that we are going to be working on a update into Cassell that will provide better detail. So once that runs through, I will be able to give you a better updated age trial balance for utility billing. But currently, this is not reflecting that information just because it won't be very beneficial because it will show all of it as currently outstanding or within 60 days, which is not a true picture of what your utility billing looks like.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions from the board?
Trustee Hudson, who recognized.
Yes, Trustee Norwood.
I don't know if I missed it. I know Trustee House, you asked about the amnesty program. How has that been working in regards to our water and billing? Like, have we found that beneficial, or have we started collecting, or how's that going, Chris?
Trustee, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you guys are approving that Monday. Is that correct?
No, I think the amnesty program is already.
Oh, okay, then that's my missing on the timetable.
Yeah, there are two amnesty programs. One was already approved, which was for the water bills, and then the second was for tickets, for back tickets. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he won't be able to answer that. That'll come from William Moore. So we should have had William Moore on the meeting tonight.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay. Any additional questions from the board?
Does it have to be about water? or can I just ask a finance question?
We don't let you speak, Trustee Belcher. After we do, whatever your heart desires, Trustee.
Can you tell us what's currently in the ARPA account?
ARPA as of October 31st, you guys have, where is that? 1 second. ARPA has a cash balance of 1,519,040.60. If you look on page 37 of hard copy or electronic copy.
What was that amount again? You broke up.
$1,519,040.60.
Okay.
Or page 41 electronic, that gives you a breakdown of all cash accounts as to what their current balance is as of the date of the financials. I do want to note, and thank you for asking about ARPA, there was a real allocation at the state level. So the village is being distributed an additional amount for ARPA monies. I believe, I think $1,500 or $1,800. So you'll be receiving those additional monies for ARPA purposes.
You say 15 to 1,800 possibly?
Yeah, something around that range.
Okay, let me ask, because I know I emailed you some time ago. This is just the first payment because it's a total of 3 million, correct?
Yeah, some 3 point something million.
So,
yep.
Right, this is our first distribution and we should be getting a second distribution sometime next year.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I know we talked about it and you did clarify that with me, but I just wanted the other trustees to be aware that there is additional funding coming, which would be a total of 3 million and something.
Yep, and it will all be separately reported in the revenue fund that is reflective on pages 28 and 29 hard copy and
Okay.
31 and 32 electronic copy.
Okay, 31 and 32 electronic. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Trustee House, can I ask my last question and then I'm done?
Absolutely.
Chris, so do you handle any of the FOIAs that come in for finance?
It depends, Trustee. It varies. Some come run through me if it's something that I know. Like I know that Clerk Key asked me about a finance FOIA related to I think it was a refuse vendor or a trash vendor, and information that I had readily available I can help with. So that runs through me. They ask me for what I have available to help with that. So it depends. Usually I'm not overly involved in FOIA requests, but if it's something that I have easily available, I can help out, but it varies.
Okay, so who would, I guess, because I've sent several emails, so who would be directed in reference to finance with FOIAs if a FOIA has been sent and it was financial?
Honestly, I don't know. I can look into it. If it's a FOIA that I can help with, send it to me and I'll see what I can do.
Okay. All right.
That's the best
Thank you so much.
That's the best answer I can give.
Yeah, because I sent several emails and nobody as of today hasn't responded. And the FOIA was put in on September 9th.
If
December.
it's the FOIA, I think it is. I know that one of those was being worked on, but I don't know if, honestly, Trustee, I don't know which FOIA is related to, but I know that there was some FOIAs being worked on.
Trustee, is there anything confidential in nature in disclosing?
No, it's nothing confidential in it at all. I
Mhm.
actually asked for some line items of what was currently spent in the line items of the budget. The email was sent, Clerk Key received a copy of it. She stated to me that it was sent to Janice, but I think Janice is the human resource director now or whatever. But then Chris is the finance person, so maybe he would have got it. I don't know. I was instructed that per somebody's conversation that it had to be ran past the mayor before it was released to me. And the mayor got on the meeting and said that she never said anything like that. So I just want to know who's going to give me my FOIA information. I've also filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office, but I want to know who's supposed to give me the financial information that I'm requesting since I can't get it as a trustee.
Well, question, can we ask that question now and get the answer?
Trustee Steve, I'm kind of going there too, but I think Chris had a comment.
So you should be able to see through My Viewpoint, whichever accounts that you requested, you should be able in My Viewpoint to see what was charged. Now, if it's anything pre-conversion, they will be posted as summary entries. So if, let's say it was account 01001111, so to speak, and there was $100 in May, and that consisted of 5 vendors. Well, it'll all be posted pre-conversion, which would be September and previous. It'll be just posted as $100. It won't have the breakout. Anything post-conversion, you will have in those accounts, you could see what vendors, and you can click on and see the invoices, etc. Anything that's pre-conversion, you'll just see a summary journal entry that will say, I think TB as the reference is just the total for the month. If that helps answer your question.
Helps. I just want to have on record who it should be coming from or going to, since nobody knows, and you just stated that.
Well, you
don't know.
can actually, all trustees personally can go into My Viewpoint and view the activity themselves.
Yeah, but I put in a FOIA in September, so I'm
That,
waiting on the FOIA.
okay.
Okay.
Thank
now,
you.
I do say, when Trustee, did you have a comment as well before?
What I was asking is that I mean, if it's nothing confidential, I mean, can we look at that line item now and just see what it is? Ask the question right now and just ask what that line, what is in it.
I can pull up the line items and tell you what the dollar amount is charged versus what the budget is. That's what you're looking for. That I can pull up now. If
We were
that's
talking
all
about
you're
like a
looking for.
detailed lit. Trustee Butcher, were you looking for a detailed listing?
Yes, but even if I found out what has been spent out of that line item, because that's what I really was trying to find out, because there's 2 particular line items that I wanted to know, because I know that one we had been exceeded, and one we're using a lot of money out of, that's a general miscellaneous account. So that's why I put it in specifically.
Okay. I know we just did the ordinance around making sure that trustees had access to all departments and information. So with that in place, Chris, have you gotten any directives to do otherwise, or if we send you information, should we expect it back?
No, I haven't gotten any directives to the contrary of what was responding to requests from the trustees. I do know I saw an email come through, I think while I was on vacation, related to a FOIA request. I think that's was from you, Trustee Belcher, and I haven't had a chance to respond to, but that was a FOIA, and that's not really, I don't really get overly involved in FOIAs unless I'm specifically asked to, just to avoid billing you guys for something that I don't want to bill you guys for the time if someone else is already doing it, just so that way I keep my fees down. If it's not something by the end of the week that's run through, please follow up with an email to me, and I will have it for you by Monday. If you don't receive it prior to then, just either email me or call me personally, and then I will make sure that by Monday you have an answer, or at least a breakdown of what you're looking for. I would prefer to defer this retest to the village, just because they can do it, and then I'm not charging you. But I will, if you don't get an answer, then by Friday, give me a call or email me, and then I will work on it to get it to you by Monday.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to be clear on who should be responding, and since it's financial and we don't really have a finance director, or I wanted to know who I should be getting this from. But thank you so much.
In my past experience, usually what would happen from a FOIA request, it would be processed through the clerk, and then the clerk would reach out to whichever department. And this is in my experience. I do not get overly involved in FOIAs. And then the clerk would reach out to whichever department for the information. And then once they receive it, they follow up with the appropriate individual who requested the FOIA to get the information. That was in my experience, but I'm not overly involved in FOIA, so I don't know the full process as to how it works out, who it goes to, and that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for the response, Chris. Any additional questions?
I just have one thing. I want to piggyback off of Trustee Belcher. Some time ago, a resident sent in a FOIA request in October. It has yet to be answered. When I did follow up with it, I was told that Clerk Key was going on vacation. She forwarded to Janice. I was told then that it'd be looked at via Finance Department. And Ms. Barcella, as of today's date, which we're going into December, has yet to receive her answer for her FOIA request.
Trustee, this is the first I've ever heard. I have no knowledge on this FOIA.
Okay,
So it could be not, it has nothing to do with me or with fine or from my side. So that maybe that's the best I can answer.
okay. Absolutely. I'll take a look. I'll make a trip to the village next week or by Friday and see what's going on. But
if it's something that I can help with and the individual wants to or reach out to Clerk Key and have it forwarded to me, I'll see what I can do. I don't want to overpromise.
Well, I know she was going on vacation, so she said she did forward it to Janet. She was on vacation. So.
Okay.
But I'll see what's going on. But thank you. But I'm just saying we're being told sometimes that it's forwarded to you for the finance portion of this FOIA. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions from the board?
Trustee House, may I be recognized?
Absolutely, Trustee Norwood.
Hey, Chris, Chris, I'm wondering, as of today, can you give me exact balance of where we stand with the events budget?
Trustee, I will be able to do that at the end by Monday, just because here's the reason why. Until I post all of the activity that's currently in process, it won't post anything that's not in the prior software. Once I posted an invoice, it updated the GL. And the new software, the only time the GL gets updated is once I run the checks. So it won't reflect anything that's currently in process in AP until those checks are posted.
Got it. What about, do you know where we are now prior to those checks?
Yes, I can look that up if you need me to. Let me see if my login works real quick.
I know I kind of got an idea. I've done a little of my own math, but I know you're the ultimate math guy.
So let's see. Okay. Sure, shoot, what account number you're looking for?
Say it again.
What account number?
No, I'm just
Special
wondering.
events one under the general fund.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
The special events line item under
Oh.
the general fund, I don't have that account number though.
You guys have spent 25,388.27, which is actually reflected in the October financials of your 30K budget.
Got it. And tell me something, as of now, because I know that you stated there's some process. This right now is accurate up until when? You stated as of October?
October, yes. That would be the day I'm confident in relation to saying it's updated as of.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you, Chris.
Can you repeat that amount, please?
Of course. 25,388.27.
Okay. So with that being said, after some of these things are sent to us on the warrant list, do y'all change what line item it comes out of?
If it was determined at a later date that something was incorrectly posted there, then I do a journal entry and move it to the appropriate expense account.
I didn't hear you say that again. I'm sorry.
So if after the date it was determined that it was incorrectly posted, something was there charged correctly, I got the wrong account number, or for whatever reason it was incorrectly charged, then we do a journal entry to move it to the appropriate account.
Okay, so when you do a journal entry, are we informed? And the reason I'm asking this is because back in August, when I asked for the special events and the amount, and I have the whole printout of who we paid and everything, it was more than $25,000. So how did it drop from where it was to $25,000?
So the previous policy within the board, that has never been a request. In the new software though, you guys will, with the new software, you guys can see the account and you will be able to see the journal entry, where it was charged to, and all of that detail for anything that's post-conversion. So now you guys all have access to go into my viewpoint and you guys can see those types of changes. So I believe you guys have access when you click on the journal entry, it will tell you the details for anything that's post-conversion, where it was and where it was charged to. If the board would like to establish a different policy regarding these items, I just need to know what policy the board wants to establish, because previously that was not a policy that was ever in place.
Trustee House. So I guess my question, and you're the finance committee chair, that if we're voting on these items and we're voting on them based on what's presented to us and it has a line item on it, then if it's changed for any reason, has there ever been a situation where anybody's informed something? Because these are legal votes that we voted on, and we're voting on them based on how they're being presented to us, correct or incorrect?
That's correct. So no, to my knowledge, there's never been a change, and I'm not been notified of any account numbers being changed afterwards. And I would say I don't think the questions ever come up either. The expectation I would say is the board should be notified if we're switching it from another, in particular if it's a larger dollar amount.
Because these are legal votes that we're voting on. So now that means if we voted on something that came out of one line item and then y'all decide later on down the line, you moving it from another line item, that kind of validates our votes.
So if I can, Chris, do we need to? Because I just thought it was. I thought it was already. Do we need to put
a little unbroken?
Hold on, Jason. Can someone mute
background
there?
here?
Yeah.
That's Trustee Steve.
Okay. Yeah. Is there a So Chris, is there a policy that we need to establish? Is there, or ordinance that the board needs to, or because I just think from a best practice, we want to make sure that that's not happening.
I don't think you guys need to pass an ordinance. I would defer to legal as to those types of decisions. But if this is the will of the board, just send me what would you guys would like from a standpoint as how in those types of situations you want me to handle it. And then I can moving forward handle it that way. It's been something that's been consistent. This has never been an issue that's ever come up before. Because I know I've done it a few times where I've seen like a ComEd bill was charged to a wrong account and it was easily moved. It's never been an issue that's ever been brought to my attention from a board perspective. But if this is something the board would like to modify, just let me know what policy they want in place. And moving forward, that's the policy I will follow.
So I think, so maybe from a simplicity standpoint, can a report be generated along with our monthly financials, a report of any items that are changed from one account to another? Can that be done?
Let me think.
I mean, you follow where I'm going with that. So we'll get our monthly financial, but then during that month, there's probably journal entries that are adjustment journals. Can't that report be run?
I'm just trying to think, because see, there is a report that can be printed in the system that relates to journal entries, but a lot of my postings are all journal entry related. So what you will get is not just the ones that you're requesting, but all of my journal entries for the month, which requires the majority of the activity that goes through that's not taken into cash receipting. So I'm trying to think if there's a way of creating a report that gives you the information you're looking for without over providing you guys excess information that, unless it's something the board wants, you guys don't really you're not looking for. Let me look into it, into how, if there's a type of code or something that I can set up within the software for those specific types of adjustments. So that way I just print that report and it's not my standard journal entry report that I would submit, that I would use to post activities to the general ledger.
Okay. All right.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
So did I hear that correctly? That that when Trustee Belcher, when you had the reports, that was at 25,000 something. What month was that? You said you had the reports?
I can say that was July and it was over $30,000.
Yeah, that was July, and the printout was over $30,000 in July, and now it's October and it's 25,000.
How did that happen? That's a big question mark on that one.
So I think from that standpoint, if we can, Trustee, would you mind emailing Chris what you had, and then Chris, can you research and respond with how did that decrease?
But Trustee, wasn't we once told that some stuff went to funds were taken out of miscellaneous?
That was after Trustee Belcher's report. So that,
right. So I'm saying
those are additional those.
Where did those funds,
additional.
where did those go? What happened with that?
I will work on getting it, but transparent, I may not get it until probably the end of the day Friday, early Monday.
Okay,
Is that fine for you, Trustee Belcher?
That's fine for me.
Okay. Any additional questions?
One other question. In our last meeting, there was and I don't know, this might have tied into the fire, but the concrete was done and it was taken out of the fire department's budget, which exceeded the amount that was in there. Do you know why it came out of the fire department budget?
So based on my understanding, it was something to do with the apparatus floor. There was something with when the vehicles come out, that section of their driveway, and I may not be using the right terms, needed to be redone. Now, I was talking to Pete today, and he said that may have been because of a water main break. So that may be doing a journal entry. We may be reclassifying that expense out of fire and into water, but he's got to let me know what, due to the relationship you guys have with Chicago, I'm restricted as to what can go into your water fund due to the consent decree you have legally established with Chicago. So I need an explanation as to what caused that expense. And if it was a water main break, then legitimately repairing it would be a legitimate water expense. But I need that trail, so that way if Chicago comes back, I can say that's a legitimate water expense. It's not a general fund expense that we're just charging for water purposes, if that makes sense to everyone.
And the amount that you just gave us, was that for 01125592?
Yes,
That's
0112,592, yeah.
Okay. Okay,
So
thank you.
as an example for that one that we just talked about for that invoice for fire department, let me know what policy the board wants to establish in regards to me moving those monies, or is it just me do the journal entry and then give you guys a report?
If you can generate that report, I think that would, I believe that should satisfy what we're looking for.
Okay, I will see what I can generate and then get back to you guys in regards to that.
Okay. Any additional questions? Okay. Hearing none, that concludes the old business. There is no new business. So we're gonna go into citizens address. I'll ask Ontario any questions that the community may have for the board. If you can read them, and then I'll give a response.
Yes, sir. I do have a few. Sherry asked in the citizens address, are we going to rectify the issues with FOIA requests?
I know the clerk's office has purchased a new software, which is intended to simplify the FOIA request. The major issue, as I heard it on here, is if a FOIA request is sent to a department and it's not responded to, if the information is not given back to the clerk, then she has to notify the person. And then I know she has also had some communication with the Attorney General's office in efforts to make sure that that we'll become more compliant. But I think that I've encouraged that she increase her communication with the Attorney General's office if we're not getting cooperation.
Okay. Ms. Sherry asked the question again. She asked, do we know what the fines are for not complying with FOIA requests?
I do not know that. Trustee Belcher may have some insight, just something tells me, but I do not know what the fines are directly. That's one I would have to find out.
Okay. Ms. Sherry asked again. We were at about 37,000 in July with the events budget. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the whole.
I'm sorry. We were at about 37,000 in July with the events budget, correct? That's the question.
I know that in July it exceeded $30,000, and I think the resolution we came to was Trustee Butcher was going to send the list of what she had to Chris, and Chris would do a follow up, I believe, by Friday on what variations he sees.
Okay. Ms. Trina Downs asks, the clerk has a deputy clerk, so why are FOIA requests still late? All mine have been late.
So the clerk's office receives the FOIA request. They then forward it, I think as Chris may have mentioned, they forward it to the appropriate department. If the department does not provide the information back to the clerk, she does not have the information to give back. So I believe that's one of the challenges it seems that we've been running into. I would encourage any resident or anybody, if FOIA requests are not being complied with, do the appropriate follow-up with the clerk, and then also file with the Attorney General's office, because we must become compliant.
All right. And Ms. Trina Downs asks, where did the decrease come from?
I believe that was a similar question to, I believe it was Sherry's question. So I would say, again, we're going to have the same solution where Trustee Belcher is sending that information to Chris. Chris will do a follow-up, and we can expand on it with a better answer at that time.
All right. I got two more. The board needs to create a policy. I'm sorry, that's just a statement, not a question. Ms. Trinidad.
Feel free to read it into record. If they does it,
Okay.
did it say, are they requesting that it be a citizen's address?
Okay, it's just, yeah, it is for citizens address. It's industry play 360. Citizens address. The board needs to create a policy so that it is adhered to no matter who handles finances, so that any finance director is aware of what to do when money is moved.
Received. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ms. Trina Downs asks in the citizens address, can the journal entries be voided?
The journal entries.
Voided. Sorry.
Yes.
All right. And Ms. Trina Downs asks again, who is the liquor and gaming commissioner in Dolton, and how much is the pay?
The mayor is the commissioner. The exact amount of pay, Chris, do you know what the pay is for that?
Not off the top, no.
Okay, is that something you'll be able to email me and I can do a follow-up?
I can look and see what I have in my files regarding to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That was the last question.
Thank you very much. And thanks all for the comments and questions. Hearing no additional business, I know we're following this immediately with the fire committee. So I'm going to just ask, I will make a motion that we adjourn the finance committee meeting. Can I ask for a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second it. So roll call, Trustee House is aye, Trustee Brown,
Aye.
Trustee Steve.
Aye.
3 ayes. Finance committee meeting is adjourned. And Trustee Belcher, floor is yours. You're going to get a brief fall off from me while I switch devices, and I'll be joining back on in a few moments.
Okay, good night, all.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for your time.
Good night, Chris. Thanks.
Yes.
Ontario, we don't have to log off, do we?
No.
Okay,
If you want to
all right.
continue this, hold on, before we go. If you want to continue this on the live stream, I think we should log off and log back in, because it's going to continue into your
Under the, right, it's gonna continue under the finance.